All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine at 5 o'clock on March 11, 2026 in the council chambers of the Municipal Administration Centre. Roll call this evening, Deputy Mayor Clark.
Present.
Councillor Blackwell.
Present.
Councillor Kavanagh.
Present.
Councillor Hinchberger.
Present.
Councillor Prenger. Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
Present.
Councillor Stewart.
Present.
Councillor Williams.
Present.
Councillor Steinhoff Gray, please.
Thank you. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash, the unceded First Nation, and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation, whose ancestors were the first to inhabit, care for, and live on this land. We recognize and deeply appreciate the contributions that Indigenous peoples have made, both in caring for this land and shaping and strengthening this community, our province, and our country. As a public service organization, we are dedicated to learning and acknowledging Indigenous history and culture and are committed to actions that move us towards a journey of truth, healing, and reconciliation with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the Métis Nation of Ontario, and the historic Saugeen Métis.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda by council members this evening? Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, under motion 7.1A, and that's with the airport hangars, I'd like to delete that. And my second, are you willing? Okay, so we're going to delete 7.1A?
And just for clarification, it was yourself and Councillor Steinhoff Gray that submitted it to the agenda, so it's not something, you're not just kicking a staff motion off the agenda, it was your motion.
It was our motion, and I've asked to remove it, delete it. And I'd like to add two more motions. I think it's motion 7.1E, would it be, I think? And the motion would read, the council is requesting that the mayor and the director of infrastructure and development to approach and recommend to the county of Bruce to install 2 new raised cone drainage grates to replace the 2 flat grates currently there on the north side of County Road number 15 at McIntyre Park in Inverhuron to prevent further and future flooding of the park and surrounding neighborhood. And that motion was made by myself and second by Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
Okay, so there is a motion on the floor. Oh,
This is just to add that?
We just add them.
we just can't add it? Like we don't need council approval to add it?
Yes, you do. So this is, he's putting a motion forward to remove and then add those two.
So do we need individual motions or just?
You can do one if people want, or they can do separate ones.
Okay, let's do separate ones just for clarity. So do we need a mover and seconder?
You move second to remove the airport hangar lease.
Okay, so that's Councillor Stewart and Councillor Steinhoff Gray, all in favor? That's carried. And the second one is, I expect, moved by Councillor Stewart and seconded by Councillor Steinhoff Gray, that this extra motion, motion 7.1E be added to the agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Through you again, motion 7.1F. Councillor is requesting who authorized the cutting of the 100+ trees at McIntyre Park prior to the staff bringing a funding source report to council on the 2026 capital project number 9542, which is the Tiverton Water. And did the individual have the authority and provided the prior notice to the local residents as per our tree policy? That was made by Councillor Stewart and second by Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
I hear the question, but I'm going to rule that this motion is out of order because it directly contradicts the direction provided by council regarding our direction to staff to proceed with the project and the inclusion of the funding in it in our budget this year, Councillor Stewart. So
thank you. I'd just like to sort of comment is that we're not stopping the project. The problem is we're starting the project, it's like the cart before the horse. We're still expecting and have not received And it was right in the capital budget that we're supposed to have funding source report to be identified. We don't know where the funding report is. It's supposed to come to us, what, in another month or two? So we really don't have any funds right now other than design and some engineering, but we're proceeding with the actual construction. And who has the authorization? Is it staff or is it the council ourselves? I mean, we should be approving and where the funding is coming from, and then the staff can proceed with the construction period. You got the cart before the horse.
Well, just so we get this a little procedurally correct, we have a motion on the floor. It is moved by Councillor Stewart. Is there a seconder for that motion? Okay, see, if there's no seconder, then it doesn't go forward, as simple as that. Are you going to second the motion? There's no discussion if there's no seconder. Okay. All right, discussion, please. So we've heard from Councillor Stewart. Do you have a point of discussion, Councillor Steinhoff-Gray? You don't have to, I just,
No.
okay. Deputy Mayor Clark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. It's actually a point of order, and I hope perhaps Councillor Stewart could clarify. I just wasn't certain what the motion was. It sounded like a question, and maybe I misheard, but I wonder if you could clarify what the motion is, or whether it's a question that could be answered. Thank you.
It's a fairly simple question. It's not really a motion, it's a question that we have jumped ahead and somebody's authorized the removal of these 100 trees already, but we don't really have the project under source funding yet. Like, we're still trying to figure out how to pay for the project. And that's supposed to come, and staff was supposed to bring us it's called a funding source report. And we haven't seen it yet. And there is some sensitivity around both of these things. There's sensitivity around Ibrahim and there's sensitivity around Tooradin. Who's paying for it and how we paying for it? So we're sort of marching ahead prior to actually seeing that report. So, things could change. Things could really change. We're hoping for some grants. I think we've had 3 times that we have failed getting the grants. So we still need to figure out how to get the $5.5 to $6 million and who's going to actually pay for it. So if you start taking down the trees and start building the water pump, we don't have the money really because we haven't approved it. Council has. So it's a procedural thing. So I'm just trying to figure out who in the staff or who actually went ahead and authorized moving ahead on this project other than the design engineering, and they really shouldn't be until we actually fully approve.
Yeah, I see that. Actually, we do have the funding. It's in the budget. It's in the budget. We have a couple of other questions. We'll come back. Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I will vote against this, but I think that this falls into the category of, I think where Deputy Mayor Clark was going. The councillor has a question. He can ask the question to the administration, and I have a lot of experience doing this myself, and the council staff relations policy will require staff to respond to Councillor Stewart's question with a copy to all the other members of council, and then we can go from there. That's why
I
will
concur.
vote.
It is a question. It's not really a motion.
Yeah.
So, Councillor Blackwell, please.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. My question was, or comment was similar in that right now the motion itself is, should we add this to the agenda? And so I think there's probably a way to get this information that doesn't, like, we aren't going to have an answer tonight, I don't expect. So I think it would probably be best directed straight to the administration, because I also will add my own question to the administration later about this project, because it does raise a flag to me if it was started, but I don't know that it's going to get us all that far if we add kind of a question as a motion procedurally.
Okay, so we have the question whether we add this to the agenda or not, or another path forward, we can just request that staff present a report to council at an email to supply some answers to the councillors' questions, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, that would be appropriate, because I already asked the question and haven't got an answer yet.
Okay. All right, so we have a question about whether we add this to the agenda. All in favor of adding it to the agenda? Please indicate.
Point of order. Just through you, Mayor, if you deem this not to be a motion, I don't know that there is, do you not need to roll on the point of order? Or if it's not a motion, I don't know that there's anything to be added in that sense. So I just wonder if you could clarify that point.
There was a mover and seconder that this be added to the agenda, and that's the process I'm following. I did not think that it was a particular, there wasn't really a motion, but council chose to consider it as the motion, so we will vote on it as such. We have a motion to include this in the agenda. All in favor of that indicate. Anyone opposed? Okay, so we'll wait for some email information from staff regarding the councillor's request. Right on. Okay, disclosure of pecuniary interest. I'd remind any councillor members to do this either now or as it arises in the meeting, the general nature thereof. I would need to declare on 5.1A, this is the other half of the Ag Society conversation, and I have some family members who are directors on the board of directors for the Ag Society. So the Deputy Mayor has agreed to chair that portion of the meeting. Adoption of minutes, we need a mover and seconder. Oh, Councillor Blackwell, sorry.
Thank you, sorry, through you. I also need to declare on 5.1A as my son is a member of the gymnastics group.
We need a mover and seconder that the minutes of the council meeting held February 25, 26 be adopted as printed. Moved by councillors Steinhoff, Gray, and Kavanagh. All in favor? Those are carried. Delegations and presentations. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Megan Allers and Jenny Metalcup who are going to present for Kincardine Classics. I think you have 5 minutes, if I'm correct. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and members of council. On behalf of the Kincardine Classics Gymnastics Club, I am presenting to you in support of the proposed new lease agreement that was presented to our club on December 18th, 2025. Next slide. Our club began using Connaught Park Pavilion in 1993-94 under a tri-party agreement between the municipality, the Classics, and the Agricultural Society. We have been proud partners in utilizing this space for the benefit of families across our community. During the 2024-25 season, we proudly supported 594 recreational athletes and 26 competitive athletes. Next slide. Our competitive athletes proudly serve as ambassadors for Kincardine. Each year, they participate in training camps, mini competitions, and showcases with gymnastics clubs from neighboring communities. Our professionally trained athletes then take part in multiple qualifying competitions across Ontario with the goal of representing Kincardine at the annual Ontario Women's Artistic Gymnastics Championships, a goal we have achieved regularly for the past 10 years. This reflects both the dedication of our athletes and the strength of our local program. Next slide. Our club has made significant capital investments into the facility. In 2023, we undertook an extensive HVAC upgrade, expanding the system to include both heating and air conditioning. At a cost of approximately $60,000, this was fully funded by the Kincardine Classics. This has dramatically improved the comfort for our athletes and allowed expanded programming into the summer months by reducing heat-related health risks. Looking ahead, upon approval of the proposed lease, we are prepared to invest between $50,000 and $75,000 in year-one improvements to the space. Next slide. Our ask today is that Council proceeds with the December 18th, 2025 lease agreement. Next slide. In recent years, modest extensions to our access to the building has allowed us to extend our recreational and competitive gymnastics programs into the early summer, and we were able to offer a much-needed summer camp program for the first time in 2024. With the approval of the proposed new lease agreement, we will provide a 7-week summer camp program for 2026 that can support between 225 and 250 childcare spaces and will provide up to 7 student jobs. Next slide. Anticipated year 1 upgrades include bathroom upgrades, removal of the stage, exterior door replacements, and the creation of a separate and safe viewing area. Next slide. The Kincardine Classics consistently invests in new gymnastics equipment. We do this not only for our athletes' safety, but to remain compliant with regulatory requirements set by Gymnastics Ontario and to offer a continually improving training program for our athletes. This brings us to the most significant challenge that we face as an organization. Our previous lease agreements require us to fully set down all equipment and move it into storage each year. This specialized equipment is not designed to be continuously dismantled, moved, stacked into a small space, moved again, and reassembled. This annual teardown and reinstallation process leads to increased repair and replacement costs. The continuous improvement to the competitiveness and quality of our program has led to an increase in the amount of the equipment we are using. So much so that we can no longer safely manage the set-down, storage, and reinstall process with volunteers. Each year, we hire an independent moving company to support these operations at a cost of approximately $3,000 per year. Next slide. The proposed new lease agreement would put an end to this complicated and costly process, protecting our equipment and the overall safety of our athletes. Next slide. For over 3 decades, the Kincardine Classics Gymnastics Club has demonstrated responsible stewardship of the Connaught Park Pavilion. Our financial investment and the resulting meaningful impact to the community are undeniable. Approval of the proposed long-term direct lease agreement between the Kincardine Classics and the municipality will ensure that this municipal asset will see stability and continued growth through capital investment. Most importantly, this facility will be an asset to the community by providing a hub of physical activity, childcare, and employment opportunities for generations to come. Thank you on behalf of the Kincardine Classics Gymnastics Club Board.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions? Councillor Stewart.
It's more of an understanding, just to inform the gymnastics club, you understood that the Kincardine Agricultural Society asked us, the council, for 60 days to review, and we approved that, and we will have an answer back to you within probably at the end of this month or the beginning of next month. I'm on the committee along with the director of Parks and Rec, Luke, over there, so we'll have an answer for you, but thank you. Well done.
Any other questions or comments from council?
They'll take any age.
Thank you very much for,
Restriction, isn't there?
oh dear. Thank you very much. We really appreciate the work that Kincardine Classics does within our community. It's a very popular program. As I said, I think on the last presentation, my boys are no longer in it because I can't get up at 7 in the morning to do the registration. But well done for both what you do, the service you provide for the community and these children. It's much appreciated. Thank you for your presentation. You're more than welcome to leave, or you can stay for the rest of the council meeting if you wish.
I don't know too many people do that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All right, we have some staff reports to consider at this point. I need a mover and seconder that council approve the request by the Kincardine Legion Branch 183 for the installation of a commemorative crosswalk titled Lest We Forget at the intersection of Lambton and Huron Terrace on the west side crossing, and the council approve a 2026 budget amendment of $9,800 for the crosswalk funded from the contingency reserve. Moved by councillors Kavanagh and Deputy Mayor Clark. At this point, we have a couple of members from the Legion, Terry Leslie and Glenn Booker, who are presenting on the Veterans Crosswalk proposal. Ms. Leslie, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, members of council, staff, thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. This marks 100 years of the Royal Canadian Legion, a century of service and unwavering support for veterans and their families. For generations, the Legion has helped ensure the cost of our freedoms is never forgotten. If we could go to the next slide, please. And the next slide. Tonight, we're asking the municipality of Kincardine to approve a Royal Canadian Legion themed commemorative crosswalk. This is not about decoration, it is about remembrance built into everyday life. You can see by this slide, Glenn did quite a bit of research on every imaginable crosswalk from coast to coast, and we had some spirited discussion within our executive. And next slide, please. One more. Thanks. So this is where we landed. We feel it is simple, respectful, yet impactful. And a crosswalk is something we all use. Kids walking to school, parents walking uptown, seniors popping into the Legion for some camaraderie. Each time someone steps onto it or pulls their car up to it, they are gently reminded that the freedoms we all enjoy were earned by others. Council, this is a small piece of pavement, but it carries a very powerful message. It says that Kincardine remembers, Kincardine respects service and sacrifice, and it says that remembrance here is not limited to one day in November, but lives on every day. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Council questions? Councillor Kavanagh, any?
Just want to vote, support this? Move on? Perfect. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. My question was a bit of a plant and a lead, saying that I understand that to celebrate the 100th anniversary, there's a member drive going on right now.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about that.
Because it's our 100th anniversary, they've done basically a marketing plan that it is free for the year 2026. We have our membership chair here today. Where are we at? 154 new members, which is averaging a little more than 2 a day since the beginning of the year. So we have exploded in membership. So we're almost at 600 members, which is really phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you, I have just 2 questions. The first question is the budget that is being proposed, that's for a traditional painted crosswalk, is that correct?
Thank you.
CAO, please.
Through you, Your Worship. This crosswalk is being constructed to a higher standard than what we normally do to ensure that both the vibrancy and the long-lasting nature of the paint are there and to protect the investment.
Councillor Blackwell.
Oh, yeah, no, that was going to be something that I wanted to mention. Was it something that we can sometimes see degradation with our crosswalks, and to try and really make sure that we're doing one that's going to remain respectful. So my only question had been whether we had considered something like the thermofoil or something more longer lasting. But and the other question is more procedural. I chatted with the Legion about this a couple months ago and was really supportive, but I understand that it's outside of the scope right now of our existing policy. Does our motion need to say that we're exempting them from the policy itself, knowing that, or is just saying that we support it enough?
Through Your Worship, The staff have scheduled a review of the policy and expect to bring information back in the second quarter of 2026. It would be my advice to council that with your support, this can proceed, but we'll be looking at the policy in more detail very shortly.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I can support this quite easily, having a father who was a WW2 veteran. I'm just a little concerned, and maybe this question's to Lori. I agree that we need to review the policy, and it's like the flag policy. We just have to be careful, because once the door opens, you know what happens, and then we'll be putting these sidewalks everywhere. I'm not quite sure, have you thought about this and everything else? I mean, this particular one, I have a personal preference on it, but, are other groups going to come and they expect the same treatment?
So I'll interject there. It's a perfectly rational question, and when we get that new policy, we'll consider it at that time. But I think at this point, as the CEO has said, we'll move forward with this one and deal with that when it arrives. Further questions? Councillor Prenger, please.
Thank you, through your chair. Just to Councillor Blackwell's point, if it technically goes against the policy, I think we do need to add to the motion that we exempt them from the policy. And that wasn't directly answered whether that we need to do that at this time or not.
Thank you for that. Do we need directly exempt? Maybe we could just be a blanket, we exempt them from any of the constraining portions of the existing policy. Because I can't tell you what the policy is right now that would prevent it, but I appreciate the point, and we can make sure that is.
Don't we just approve it without even mentioning policy, Mayor? Sorry.
I think.
I can.
But we acknowledge that we get to exempt our own policies without almost even having to exempt ourselves. It can just happen. CAO, please.
Just to clarify, I believe that the only policy question here is with regard to the location of the crosswalk. And certainly this being the closest crosswalk to the Legion location, I think was the reason why it was chosen, and really wouldn't make as much sense to have it anywhere else. So that was the reason why.
Councillor Stanoff Gray, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. This is more of a comment for our CAO. I'm fully in support of this, and I appreciate the detail you gave us about the robustness to ensure it remains respectful. Is this something where we would want to just make sure there's not like a daily check or anything like that, yearly check or something? Just, is there some kind of preventative maintenance program we should be referring staff to take a look at? Just, I wouldn't want it to become in a state of disrepair. I'm obviously very much in support of it, but maybe there's some kind of checkpoint we have to put in place just to make sure that it doesn't end up not meeting the intent of what we're trying to do here.
Two things come to mind. One is that certainly it's operating procedure within the operations department to ensure that all crosswalks are visible, and so there's an annual process to be able to look at those. And I think the good people at the back of the room will be certain to communicate with us should things not be to the standard that they should be.
All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Terry and Glenn, thanks so much, and the rest of our Legion friends here this evening.
Thank you.
So we have a policy review, the petitions policy. We need a mover and seconder that council approve the updated petitions policy and repeal petitions policy GG 3.13, moved by councillors Hinchberger and Williams. Discussion? Councillor Stewart, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. Under the petition policy form fillable, there's just some wording there I'm just trying to understand, and maybe Jennifer can help me. Briefly state the subject matter of your petition and the request for action within the authority of the municipal council. How would they know that? And then the second part is, if your petition is related to an upcoming agenda item, please indicate it. But a lot of times these petitions take months. So I'm just that wording is a little bit misleading, I think, but maybe you can help me out.
Through you, Chair. So the petition subject matter, generally that's the first thing that everybody knows. They know they want the municipality to do something. And so that's what they're writing in that line. What do they want the municipality to do? What this indicates, though, is that they cannot ask for something that is outside the authority of the municipality.
And you'll coach them on that.
So, yeah, so if somebody does. In regards to the second question, in regards to if it's an agenda item, if it's something that they know is going to be on a future agenda, then they can indicate that. But I think Councillor Blackwell maybe has her hand up to speak to that as well, because we talked about it earlier. So I'll let her speak to that.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you. One of the things that on that item where it was related to an agenda item was it was requesting that you submit the petition on the Wednesday before the meeting where the agenda item was going to be discussed. But our agendas don't come out until Thursday. So I had spoken with the clerk about whether we could also include language in there about the ability to amend the agenda. So if the agenda is posted, there's an item on there that people want to do a petition for, because often now without committee of the whole, we have an agenda item and we decide that night that they could still potentially put it on the agenda up until 4:30 the day before the meeting, just to give that flexibility so that we would still be able to see it.
Broadly speaking, and you've likely seen this too, that petitions come about items that are across the municipality important. And they have a future date that we're going to be talking about this. It's not normal that there would be a petition come about, just a little thing there might be, but generally it's a broader issue where there's lots of lead time. So anyway.
I like the fillable electronic, that's great.
All in favor of the motion?
Real plus there.
Anyone opposed? That's carried. Contract award, managed IT services. We need a mover and seconder that council awards contract TR 2025-01. Should that be 2025-01 or 2026-01?
It's 2025-01. It's just because the RFP process has taken quite a bit of time.
Okay. For the managed IT services to Pathway Communications in the amount of $354,137 excluding HST over a 3-year term, moved by councillors Kavanagh and Steinhoff Gray. Discussion, please. Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. My question has to do with the bottom of page 204, where it talks about that the 2026 IT budget was $250,000, and the estimated annual cost when you add up the base and pay-per-view total pay-per-use services is about 120, and there's a comment there that says, as a result, the 2026 IT budget of 250,000 remains a reasonable estimate. I guess my question is what level of oversight or approval is going to be required, if any, to incur expenses, say, in the range between 120 and 250,000?
It's a big range.
So through you, so the difference is mainly because of the project work. So we will have to approve any additional work that takes place. There's a process for that, where an example that I can think of is we have a capital project for the IT department, which is a large cabling project. So we will need assistance with that from this vendor. So that would be something that would be scoped out and quoted separately. But as part of the contract, we have firm fixed pricing depending on the type of position on their end that's required, like what kind of technical specialist we need for each project. So those hourly rates are fixed, and then they will provide us with a quote that then needs to be approved by us. But this particular contract was designed to be a fixed model with respect to the core services so that we can have that predictability throughout the year. It's just the additional upgrades or any kind of work that may need to happen. It is a significant budget, $250,000. We don't anticipate, probably not in this year for sure, that we would have to spend that much money, but depending on the type of work that's required in future years, it could be. All
in favor of the motion? Okay. There we go. Housing Action Progress Report. We need a mover and seconder that council receive the progress report, and further that council authorizes the establishment of a terms of reference for a housing committee with a mandate to provide input and guidance to staff in the preparation of Housing Action Plan 2.0 for council's consideration. Moved by councilors, I can't see her, but I'm going to say Blackwell. And Councillor Hinchberger. So I just want to start with a comment. This is a substantially long and in-depth report. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. However, to council, there's two questions here. Do you receive the report? And do we authorize the establishment of the terms of or direct staff to develop those terms of reference? So are there any questions or comments about the housing report? Do you want to start? Pardon me? Lori Fiozzi, Manager, Strategic Initiatives, away you go.
Through you, Mayor Craig. I just wanted to give a little bit of a progress report on, like to give a bit of an overview to council, and I wanted to note that the actions and progress have been completed by staff across the organization, as well as by council. This has really been a joint effort. I'm just providing the summary and the information and pulling it together into one report with the hopes that that'll help set the stage for the next phase. So, Nicole, the next slide. As there are 3 goals in the Housing Action Plan, and so I've got the 3 goals up there, but supporting a wider variety of diverse housing types, including more rental options, proactively planning for future housing growth, and advocating, collaborating, and communicating on housing needs and supports. The next slide, Nicole. So under the first goal area, just to give you a snapshot, and I did go into more depth in the report, there's been some significant policy and program changes that council has heard and approved as you've gone through your term, to really enable a broader range of housing types. The comprehensive zoning bylaw was updated in 2025 using a housing-friendly lens, allowing more housing types, smaller lots, greater densities, etc. Accessory residential units were permitted, and where full municipal services exist, they're supported by the development of an accessory unit construction guide, which is now on the website, the new version of that, to help homeowners navigate the process. We'll be rolling that out actually at the home show coming up in April, so a really good guide for residents who are interested in developing an accessory unit. Process improvements have also been made through the implementation of Cloud Permit, which is creating a fully digital system for building permit applications, payments, inspections, and it improves the efficiency for builders and residents. Council's also supported housing development through the Community Improvement Plan with financial incentives, including the previous year, Council approved the allocating $40,000 and funding 2 infill housing development projects, totaling 149 units. And then also this year's CIP does add some additional support through the Building Improvement Structural CIP program. So there are some things that are still coming from the CIP to help support housing. The municipality also took steps to monitor housing supply and pressures and explored the short-term rental accommodation licensing. So that was also part of the work that happened this year. And then slide 4, Nicole, the next slide. Under the second goal of proactively planning for housing growth, there was work focused on strengthening development readiness and planning for future opportunities, and that's where council did the inventory of municipally owned lands, which was completed to assess potential to support affordable and attainable housing. The municipality also partnered with Bruce County and community organizations to commission the Flourish Report, which explored viable development models for affordable and mixed rental housing. And then this work informed the preparation of the planning justification report and the expression of interest for potential development on the parking lot of W.E. Thompson. So that work has been completed, and in the report there's some options in there that we would recommend that if a housing ad hoc committee was struck, that they would discuss and bring back recommendations to council. Council also participated in a development environmental scan workshop, again to talk about housing barriers and opportunities. for development, and then the Republic Urbanism consultants were engaged to provide an independent assessment of development readiness. So all of that helps with that goal number 2. And then lastly, under goal number 3, some of the work there to help us advocate and create awareness around housing issues. We did do a housing marketing campaign last year highlighting the varied sort of housing forms and help to kind of communicate some of that information to the public. And then again, we've been participating in the Home Expo every year to provide more information around some of the pieces to help with housing development. We've also have a Realtor Roundtable, which we've implemented to share municipal updates with realtors, as well as every quarter we talk about housing trends to keep us up to date around housing sales in the municipality. And then council's also been involved in advocating to other levels of government on housing through, some of the delegations you provided at, things like Roma, at events like Roma and AMO. And then one thing we are doing is reviewing reports and packages to help us set the stage for the Housing Action Plan Potential 2.0. And we did attach the report from One Point, which is the Association of Realtors. They're a professional group that of 2,700 realtors across municipalities. They reviewed 10 municipalities, and one of them was us, the municipality of Kincardine. And they gave us some best practices to consider as we're moving ahead with helping with, unlocking new housing supply. And pages 20 to 23 really speak specifically to Kincardine, and they are available and willing to come to a council meeting. They've said they can come as soon as April the 9th meeting if council was interested in hearing their report. So just lastly, just around, there has been progress that's been made. Housing is a frustrating one in that it's hard because a lot of it's policy at a municipal level, but there are things that the municipalities can do. But it's frustrating because you don't see shovels in the ground and that speed of which people would want to see it happening. So staff are seeking council direction on the next phase of implementation with the potential of establishing an ad hoc committee to help us prioritize actions. And then I had mentioned the example of the 705 Princess Street land, as well as guide decision-making related to municipal lands and housing initiatives.
Council questions? Councilor Blackwell, maybe you wanted. Oh, thank you. Councilor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Thank you to Lori for that report. Her recommendation and the motion that I had previously submitted on the agenda before being able to read her report, I'm just wondering, there's obviously overlap there. Is through you maybe to the manager, is there something within the report or within the motion that I've made, do you feel that fits with your vision, or are you saying that there's potentially two different visions of what the committee could be doing?
He's excited.
I think that's a question for the manager to answer. I think from my perspective, there's a couple of directions that council could take regarding the housing action plan, and one is outlined here, but it's not a big jump to go to the other one. And one is like the council committee. If we refer back to the healthcare ad hoc committee, we made some recommendations, specific recommendations about what we can do to amend policy, how we can, I would envision this committee made up of council members would set the framework and foundation for, the short-term actions we can do, and this is where we've been and this is how it could help the next council. Another tack that the council could take would be to implement a broader municipal-wide housing task force or action group or something like that, where it's, we want to build this thing on this lot for this reason, and it's a lot more action-based rather than policy. And there's value to each. There continue to be barriers to housing development in our municipality because of some of the policies that we and/or the county have that just make it challenging sometimes for house builders, whether they're big house, like developers or individuals. So it's council's decision sort of whether you want to take this a little longer term policy direction or you want to take, like push on the envelope and see where we get quickly. Going to go to Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through your chair. Just a comment to Council Blackwell. I would say the questions about vision or not, that should come down to councils and not necessarily the administration. And one suggestion that I have is that what you have in your motion at the end of the meeting that I support could be the type of stuff that would go in the specifics of the terms of reference should council approve this more higher level general motion that's on tonight. I did a couple of things I'd like to say is that I'd like to recognize the work of the 2018 to 2022 council because it showed that this their housing action plan was approved in September of 2022. So they showed that they were clearly doing work on this subject well into the last year of your term. I'd also say that there's some reasons that we're well positioned to do something to hand this over, because I think from a results level, the staff report that's in here tonight talks about the reason the housing action plan was developed, and it talked about affordability. And I would say if we had a performance measure that would tell us the number of residential units that have been created in the 4 years of our term that meet the definition of affordable in terms of ownership or rental, the number would be extremely low. So I think that one of the conclusions would be is that a lot of actions have been completed under Housing Action Plan 1.0, but I think they've been ineffective at addressing the core of the problem. I also think it's good to move forward. There will be, from time to time, on certain issues, we get later in the term, and some of my peers will suggest this should be an election issue. And I think this is one that actually should be. And the point I would make about the staff report refers to the development report written by Republic or Public Organism. That was a report that was generic across residential, commercial, and industrial. And I remember I took offense at the most recent meeting I attended about the idea of a vision. This area here about where this council or the future one wants to go specifically on affordable development, affordable housing is one that I would agree that there is a diverging set of opinions amongst the members of this council about how deeply the corporation and the municipality of Kincardine should go in order to address that problem. There is a bit of a divergence between what's written in our official plan and what was written in that housing action plan and what is actually transpired. So I think it's important to push forward. Just to summarize, I think it's important to push forward because I don't think the problem, if it's gotten better, it's only got marginally better with some decline in prices in the housing market, but it hasn't solved the problem. We have the experience of 3+ years that we should put down into paper, into a process to hand over to the next term to go forward with. Thanks.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I agree with my fellow councillor. I think we need to put a team together and really start moving on this. We've talked about policy, we've talked about procedure, it's time to put actions to word. I'm not sure how you would do that, Laurie, but maybe you can come back with a report to figure that out, because I think it's an easy thing to hand over to the next council and everything. And, you know, we still have 8 months, and, you know, we shouldn't sit there for 8 months. One of the things that I'm disappointed on, I'll be honest with you, has nothing to do with staff here, has everything to do at a county level. We're sitting at 62 lots that are affordable, and it would be affordable housing sitting at Pinewood Trailer Park. And unfortunately, we have held back for years, and now this is almost the 3rd year, and yes, you know why, is because the county has not finished their official plan. And until they finish their official plan, we're stuck. So, you know, I think that, you know, we did a good job with our official plan. We did a good job with our comprehensive zoning bylaw. Well, I think we got things ready to go, but I think we also need to kick something over at the county to get that going. But I do think that we do need to move ahead. And I know that, I don't think so, it's maybe diversion in the council here about affordable housing I don't think it is. I think everyone, even including myself, I'm really a component and a supporter of affordable housing. I just want to make sure that we understand there's a financial part of it, and that has to be done by the taxpayers. I mean, we have 9 seats here, but the taxpayers are a 10th seat, and the taxpayer has to agree. But I think we should start moving ahead as fast as we can over the 8 months, and then hand it over to the next council. Thank you.
Councillor Pranger, please.
Thank you, Chair. Respectfully, Councillor Blackwell did have her hand up first. Did you want to let her go? No? Okay, thanks, Beth. Okay, thank you. So through the chair, I feel like the motion 7.1 Charlie put forward by Councillor Blackwell and Councillor Hinchberger cover the second part of the motion we're talking about right now. So I would like to propose an amendment to the current motion to reduce it to simply receiving this report, and then we will address the formation of a team to look into this through the ad hoc committee in 7.1 Charlie.
Is there a seconder for that amendment? Councillor Stewart. Any further discussion about the amendment? Okay, all in favor of the amendment? All right, that carried. Councillor Blackwell.
Thank you. Sorry, my comments were about the committee establishment, so I will hold those until we get to the notice of motions.
Okay, so I'm going to zoom ahead. We'll circle back around this when we get to 7.1 Charlie. Yeah, Charlie. All in favor?
3.5 years.
And I just barely have it. All in favor of the amended motion which we received the progress report? All in favor? That's carried. Lori is well done. Thank you for that background information. We're moving on to 7.1B. Moved by Councillor Blackwell, seconded by Councillor Deputy Mayor Clark. Whereas the short-term rental accommodation bylaw 2026-18 was defeated by council on February 25, 26. Whereas an short-term rental accommodation licensing program was recommended as a preliminary step prior to introducing a municipal accommodation tax to ensure fair and equitable implementation for all short-term accommodation providers. Therefore, be it resolved that council directs staff not to proceed with a municipal accommodation tax bylaw in the municipality of Kincardine.
Get added on?
No, it was there, always after the.
Councillor Blackwell.
Thank you. Through you, I wasn't sure exactly how to word this report, whether it needed to be a reconsideration or not, but this is kind of what I ended up with. So part of it is based, I always saw them kind of going hand in hand. And so it feels like it would be inequitable to try and do a MAT without incorporating the short-term rentals, but also given the fact that we have a short turnaround time, it relates a little bit to the 7.1C, which is if we have a short amount of time, I would rather staff be focusing on supporting us with some affordable housing action rather than implementing them out at this time.
Further consideration? Councillor Williams?
Thank you. Through you, this question might be for the director. I just wanted clarification on whether or not we needed to make this motion. It was my understanding that you needed a short-term rental accommodation tax in place in order to proceed with the municipal accommodation tax, so that by not having the SDRA, you can't do the MAT tax, but perhaps I misunderstood. I'm just questioning whether or not we even need to do this.
Manager, please.
Through you, Mayor. You can still implement a MAT without a short-term rental. We had them as the same package because it would help with the revenue generation, and it equalizes the, short-term rentals and hotels doing the same, having the same thing, and taxing visitors the same. So, but you can do a MAT without short-term rental licensing.
Further discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. 7.1 Charlie, affordable housing, we moved by Councillor Blackwell, second by Councillor Hinchberger. Whereas housing affordability continues to be a significant concern for residents, businesses, and the council of the municipality of Kincardine. Whereas improving housing diversity and affordability is critical for strengthening the local economy, attracting new talent, enhancing community attachment and well-being, retaining youth and young families, and supports the long-term community sustainability. Therefore, be it resolved, the council requests that Mayor Craig establish a housing ad hoc committee with the terms of reference that could include actions such as reviewing and confirming existing gaps in the local housing continuum, develop a policy with prioritization criteria to assist in evaluating affordable housing proposals for municipality-owned surplus land, identifying a clear step-by-step pathway that can be replicated as needed to move from a surplus declaration to a housing build on municipally owned land, reviewing and updating the Affordable Housing Reserve Fund policy, utilizing existing reports and plans such as the Flourish Report, the Building In Analysis, the Bruce County Affordable Housing Toolkit, the Ontario Housing Affordability Task Force Report, etc., and consulting with private, public, and nonprofit sectors to refresh and update a municipal housing action plan with priority recommendations for council consideration, and other actions as directed by Mayor and Council. Councillor Blackwell, do you want to speak to this, or does... Yeah, go ahead. You moved it. Would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So through you, this recommendation seems to align with some of the staff recommendations as well. Please note that the terms of reference could include actions. That's a big chunk of work to take on, but the hope would be that it would be a committee of council. So I know earlier there had been discussion, could it be a housing task force? Could it be broader? I think given the knowledge we've gained as council and the timing that we have to try to bring some things out of it, my request would be that it be a committee of council. And because of the strong mayor powers, only Mayor Craig can actually establish that kind of committee. And so that's why the motion is the way it is, where it says that council requests Mayor Craig establish a committee. And what I would hope to see is, like, yes, a housing action plan 2.0 or an updated one. But also one of the things that's kind of come up a little bit through this process, I think through our term, is affordable housing's a bit of a challenging word. And I think more so there's two similar but very separate ways of increasing housing supply. So one is just increasing supply will hopefully bring down prices, and the other is specifically supporting non-market or below market builds. And so my hope would be to actually create a plan that addresses those two different pathways and supports a plan for the rest of our term, but also going forward for hopefully for the next term, that they can hit the ground running just as we did with the existing housing action plan that was handed to us.
Okay, I will afford time for more questions. I just, in conversation with our CAO, the terms of reference will be back in 2 weeks at the next council meeting. The terms of reference that Councillor Blackwell and council will say, this is the direction we want to head. So there are some questions that arise, and particularly, do you want it just of council members, or do you want a community-based committee? I'm just, and I do not promise that, like, if we get I think this way and I think that way, I'm not going to promise that everybody's going to get their wish in this, but staff and I would certainly like to hear some of the broad guidelines of what these terms of reference might look like for the initial blush, and as they're refined, you get like you'll see them and you'll have opportunity to refine them, and if it's not what you think we should do, then we will amend them according to council's wishes, because I am totally supportive of forming this. I'm not going to balk about doing it. So we need some guidelines specifically about what you want in the terms of reference. There's a number here, but if there's, I would specifically want to build a 20-story tower building on this piece of land. If that's, if we don't know it, we'll never put it in. So please offer your recommendations. Councillor. Yep. Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you, through your chair. Just personally for me, this, every time we think about this file, to me, it's, from my perspective, this is my single biggest disappointment in my term on council. As far as guidance, where we go, I'm looking at the Housing Action Plan for 2022, Action 3.5. Continue to explore partnerships with community groups, not-for-profit organizations, businesses, and/or private developers to create more affordable and attainable housing. And I just feel, I try not to exaggerate, but I feel really sad that here we are 3.5 years later, and we're looking to form a committee which is looking to basically expand on that one action based on our experience. I have some just general comments too. We can massage around the wording, call it affordable, call it missing middle. I'm pretty confident, depending on where sites are chosen or maybe not chosen, there are people who will be sharpening their pencils and pens to label it as transient housing or, God forbid, some drug clinic. So I don't think the wording really matters for that. As far as community involvement versus members of council, I fear that if you expand it beyond, say, certain members of council, you'll get a case where you're only going to get a certain amount of public engagement because the rubber isn't going to really hit the road until it crystallizes into this here. And at that point, then you will really get the public engagement that you probably wish you had had proactively. I guess we have to give it the old college try, would be the old term, but I got to admit I've become a little bit jaded. Thanks.
The good old university try.
Sure. Trade school.
Trade school. Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, through you. I just have two comments on a recommendation, or I have two comments, one related to the council makeup, or the committee makeup, coming off of what I consider to be a successful primary ad hoc subcommittee or committee of council. I found it very effective that there were 3 of us, 2 councillors and the mayor on the committee, and we invited interested stakeholders or parties to come to present information or to talk about what was important to them, and I found that a very successful way to engage. And so I would recommend a committee of council with the opportunity to invite interested parties to provide input throughout the process.
Councillor Prenger, you're next in the queue. I would ask that you turn on your camera as you're able. It's part of the procedure by law, please. Thank you.
Chair. I fully planned on doing that. Thank you. So I just wanted to say a couple of things. I fully support this approach of leaving the next term of council with a better developed, well thought out and researched plan. I too and align with Councillor Hinchberger's disappointment that it's at the end of our term that we're finally getting to this, but I'm glad we are, and that we're actually going to hopefully produce something that the next term of council can hit the ground running with, as Councillor Blackwell said. I really like the suggestion that Councillor Williams just said about how to formulate that committee, and I would support that approach. And I would like to say that I would like to see one of the items added to the terms of reference be developing relationships with actual developers who are interested and maintaining real relationships with developers that would be interested in, you know, more than one project, so they can continue on with that relationship, benefiting both the town, the municipality, our residents, and the developer themselves. Thank you.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you. Yeah, I was going to echo what Councillor Williams said about the committee of council. So given the time crunch that we have, my thought would be if we are attempting to recruit members of the public to join the committee, it really can delay the start of the work. And it would be something that I think that we all want to get started on as soon as possible. So my preference would certainly be a small committee of council that has the opportunity to meet and connect and hear from our partners in the nonprofit world, partners in the private development world, and hear what might be needed, and then be able to bring things back on an ongoing basis, just as like the primary ad hoc committee did and the nuclear committee have done. Is I don't expect this will be like a committee that's formed and then after 6 months we bring a report forward. I would expect like some potential policies to come forward through the process. The one thing that I would say is my thought process isn't inherently like that we would expect to be building something as part of this committee. This committee would really be laying the groundwork and starting those relationships and potentially creating the policies or the initial process. But I don't think within this 8 months is realistic to think that we're going to get to a point where we'll have shovels in the ground. Just again, that's disappointing to me as well, but I'm trying to be realistic. So I think the piece for me is more about setting up a process that can be easily followed so that the others aren't, the next term of council isn't trying to start from scratch or doing the way that we've been doing it, which is there's so many potential options. We're almost bogged down by that choice. And so giving them kind of some streamlined options of, if you want to increase supply, this is where you go. If you want to increase specifically non-market housing on municipally owned land, this is where you can go. These are the actions, and being able to come back to council with those to say, which one do you want us to dig in more at this point, or which policies do we need to develop? So that was kind of my intention behind the motion. And I just wanted to maybe highlight that because I would, again, when we're developing the terms of reference, I wouldn't want there to be this expectation that at the end of 8 months we're opening a building or anything like that.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, I really want to be careful of this word affordability. It's thrown around quite a bit. We really need to define it. Those terms of reference will be important because, affordability for some people, subsidized housing, transient housing, nonprofit housing, social housing, public housing, below market rent, cooperative housing. We need to understand two things: what we're looking at affordable housing and who's our target market. I mean, is it seniors? Is it disability? Is it this common? Is it people that make less than X amount of dollars? So those two terms of reference are so important because right now I'm hearing a lot of stuff and it's great, but it'll drive the committee crazy. We got to get a little more narrow focused. Go ahead.
Yeah, CAO, please.
I in a previous job, worked through a housing action plan that tried to take a data-driven approach. So we looked at the housing continuum all the way from homelessness to market housing, aligned that against what we understand from StatsCan, et cetera, about the income levels, et cetera. And we're able to refine that down to truly understand the number of units that we were short at any given place along that housing continuum. And I think it allowed for some more informed discussion and decision-making at the council table with regard to where's the deepest need, who owns that need, because I think in some places clearly that it's a question of homelessness and that mandate maybe falls outside of this council. But as you move up the continuum, I think there are choices to be made about attainable and affordable type housing, and to understand how many units Kincardine, the municipality of Kincardine, is in need of right now might be really beneficial. So I would hope we could maybe gather data like that for this committee to consider.
I would expect we could go to county housing and have that information in a day and a half.
It's just important for the terms of references.
Yeah, it's too wide. Councillor Steinhoff, Gray, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I just want to appreciate the CAO's comments on data-driven decision-making. It's something that appeals very much to how I like to look at a problem. It's actually funny that you said what you just said, because one of my questions was, I know we can invite members of the public as part of this committee. I'm completely aligned with everything I've heard from my peers so far, but would it make sense to have the county involved, either as a person that's invited to attend to provide information or receive information, just because I see that as them having some kind of role in helping facilitate what we want to do.
The short answer is absolutely. The longer answer is they'll consider that and respond to our request as they're able, likely, so.
I would just add that, I mean, certainly, one of the things you look to the county for, under their portfolio, is the rent geared to income subsidies. And I think a clear understanding of whether or not there's RGI money that's unallocated or available or could be advocated for is an important part of understanding what our response needs to be. If there's no RGI to get someone into a market rate accommodation, then you're looking at figuring out how you're going to make that happen in other ways.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you, I wanted to respond to what Councillor Stewart was saying about, when we're defining it, and that is exactly something that I think is going to be a important part of this committee. So the first bullet there was reviewing and confirming existing gaps in the housing continuum, and that was kind of to what the CAO said. When you look at the housing continuum, it goes kind of from emergency shelter all the way to market housing. And there are already providers in our community, specifically the county, that do quite a number of those segments of the housing continuum. And then we have private developers in the market housing. But I think, again, being able to define exactly the type of housing, the income levels that might be necessary to support in our community. And there is data out there from the Bruce County Affordable Housing Toolkit that talks about what's the 60th percentile income, kind of that $30,000 to $70,000 income range, and what would they be able to afford, and how does that compare to the market. So my hope would certainly be, and the reason I said, housing ad hoc as opposed to affordable housing is affordable. There's like 25 different definitions. I think it would be really impactful for us to be able to say, this is the section of the housing continuum that we see the biggest gap. This is where we see the biggest opportunity for us to support, because the county's handling some and the market's handling some, and being able to really identify that, because also then it helps the community to understand the kind of housing that we're looking to build, and might address some of those fears that Councillor Hinchberger brought up about, transient housing or halfway housing, and that the housing we're actually looking to build likely is what I would expect that we'll see from the data is more low to middle income community based housing. Like that's what they would call non-market or below market housing, as opposed to deeply affordable or highly supportive housing.
Okay, I'll come right back to you. No guarantees, once again. Who on our council would like to sit on this committee? Yeah.
What's the composition of the committee?
We don't know yet. Haven't made up the terms of reference. So it unlikely to be 4. It's not a bad number. We're making some recommendations, and if we make recommendations to council, and if council approves it, that's a good thing. So I'm just going to thank you for identifying your interest or not. It's not that we're not interested. Okay, Councillor Hinchberger, you had a question.
Yes, there's been a lot of discussion here. I think it's important that government's aligned and work on the same page and not try to reinvent the wheel. I would encourage everybody to read the Bruce County Housing Target document that was provided to Bruce County Council earlier this year, that contains housing targets for the county and further breaks it down between the inland and lakeshore region. in all, right from transitional housing through to home ownership. There's I think a lot of questions about what are we calling affordability, where's the need, are all in this document here. And I would encourage everybody, if you haven't read it yet, get up to speed, because we're going to have a discussion probably in a couple of weeks' time about terms of reference for a committee. So we should all make sure that, and have a responsibility to make sure that we're informed of the current state of affairs as exists in the county.
To our manager, when we're crafting that report, could you put that link in the report? Oh, it's already there. Councillor Stewart, you had a question?
Yes, thank you very much. Through you, Chair, this is a little bit sensitive, but we do want to pass this on to our next council. So I would say, and the mayor, good luck doing this, that we need some members on that committee that are planning to put their name forward. It'd be ashamed if the committee just made up and everyone's not moving forward. How do we get continuity in the next council? So it's just something to consider when you put the members together. Thank you.
So we have had a good debate, and basically it comes down to requesting myself to establish a housing ad hoc committee with terms of reference. So there will be a proposal come back, council meeting in 2 weeks. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. All right, Community Investment Grant, moved by Rory Kavanaugh, seconded by Councillor Blackwell. The council approve a community investment grant to the Kincardine Community Concert Band in the amount of $1,000, being funded with $250 coming from the Community Investment Grant Fund and $750 coming from the contingencies reserve. All in favor? That's carried. No, is there any notices of? Oh, there's one here? Okay. So this is a notice of motion. This is this was added, that's correct, thank you, clerk. Motion, council requests the mayor and the director of infrastructure and development to approach and recommend to the county of Bruce to install 2 new raised cone drainage grates to replace the 2 flat grates currently there on the north side of County Road 15 at McIntyre Park in Inverhuron to prevent further and future flooding of the park and surrounding neighborhood. Moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Steinhoff Gray. Any discussion? Deputy Mayor, please.
Perhaps I'm preempting Councillor Stewart on this, but can I have an explanation of what a raised cone drainage is?
I brought a picture.
Thanks.
This has been going on. We spent quite a bit of money. We spent like about, yes.
Oh, you got it, okay. Sorry, I was looking at this one, you weren't on.
Okay, sorry. We have spent quite a bit of money on County Road 15 to complete the drainage and everything. And when we put the 2 drains on the north side, right near the park, they're flat drains. So they're fairly down in the ditch. And what really happens is, as the ditches from Albert Street get unloaded, there's quite a bit of water, and organic debris and any garbage gets on top of these flat grills, drainage grills, and they basically clog them. And we've had flooding there 4 or 5 times on the same thing. We've had good luck with municipality workers to help us drain it, and then we had county workers that came the other day on the weekend. I got woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning by a couple of residents that were suffering from 6 inches of water in their homes. And it was all to do with those 2 drains. They were basically plugged. Now, this has been notified, and people do know about it, both staff levels, but I'm thinking it's time that we bring it to the senior management at county and get it corrected. It's not a big expense, but what cone sort of type of drainage thing, it's higher. So what happens if debris gets stuck down here, it still allows water to get in. So it's not a question that there's not a proper design to take the water out to the lake. The problem is these things, and I was helping a county guy for about 3 hours, and he's up to here in the water trying to open the drain. It's becoming silly, and it's so easy because once we got down to the bottom, we opened up the grate and the water dissipated within an hour. So all we're trying to do is prevent those drains right now from clogging up. It's an easy thing, but we need to, I'm getting tired of talking to people, so either I do a delegation to the county or ask the mayor and Adam to do one and get that fixed. It's preventable.
Councillor Kavanaugh?
Thank you very much, and through the chair, I'm not disagreeing with any of those issues. My concern comes more with the wording and the idea that a local municipal council or a lower tier council is trying to dictate a specific technical solution to a higher level of government. I would be much more supportive of a motion that was worded like that council request Bruce County conduct a drainage assessment of the area adjacent to McIntyre Park and consider appropriate improvements to mitigate flooding. I'm not an engineer. I don't have an ego to pretend that I understand how that water works. But I think if you, even if the flat grates are the cause of the flooding and raised cones will solve the flooding, there's a whole other data-driven background that has to go into that before you make a decision. And the knock-on effect of us coming to them demanding this specific thing, it just opens a whole can of worms with the other 7 lower tiers as well. So I would consider something more broadly based instead of a specific technical solution.
So what does your amendment say?
Something like that council
It's a
request.
friendly amendment.
Request that the County of Bruce to conduct a drainage assessment for the area adjacent to McIntyre Park and consider appropriate improvements to mitigate flooding.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Steinhoff Gray? Is there any more discussion about the amendment? All in favor of the amendment? Okay. Councillor Steinhoff Gray?
Thank you, through your chair. I'm completely aligned with Councillor Kavanaugh, and I'm glad that we approved that amendment. I'm extremely sympathetic to drainage issues. You know this. So wherever there's a situation where there's a remedy, it's important that we look at it if it's a drain that's not functioning properly. And as this affects some of the members of my ward as well, even if it was Ward 1, to be honest with you, I just, yes, equal opportunity. But the point I'm trying to make is I actually think that it's more obvious this year. I could be wrong. I might ask for staff's opinion, but to me, it seems like we've had way more water than we're used to. And so from my perspective, things that it's exasperating some of the issues that we're seeing with drainage around us. So I'd be happy for this.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that Amanda, Councillor Steinhoff Gray would support us in Ward 1 as well. My question was a bit similar in that I wasn't sure if Director of Infrastructure is on the call tonight to be able to speak to this or not. So I've kind of 2 questions. One, is this direction something that the director feels comfortable with? And 2, is there an alternative or additional process to be encouraging residents to reach out directly to the County of Bruce in tandem with this direction?
2 answers. I value our Director of Infrastructure's wisdom, but there were 2 people told to contact the county, so I will do my part anyway. And there is opportunity at the county equal to that of the municipality to submit concerns regarding all sorts of issues. So there is that process there. Councillor Stewart, please.
And there was 5 or 6 phone calls to the county, and I must recommend that even our municipality staff really try to do things immediately. And we contacted county, 5 or 6 phone calls to county. County actually phoned me. And, they know about this. And the problem is that, this is going to cost us money now because there's 2 major lawsuits now going to county, which is, unfortunate because it is very preventable. So, I think if we can get on a friendly amendment, at least we can get some attention to this. I think we could really, because if you're building a water pumping station there, that water pumping station would have been under a foot of water. So, guys, if we don't fix this, we're going to run into serious problems for ourselves. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion? That's carried. Moving on to a capital budget amendment. We need a mover and seconder. This is a peculiarly worded motion because there's motion and justification included in the same thing. So the motion basically reads that the capital budget be amended to include $30,000 for the purchase of a solar-powered flashboard to be funded from the contingency reserve. Moved by Councillors Stewart and Kavanaugh. Is there any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Second one is the operating budget. Same comment. We need a mover and seconder that the operating budget be amended to include an additional $3,350 for the Police Services Board, funded once again from the contingency reserve, and the justification is included in the other part of the motion. Moved by Councillors Williams and Steinhoff Gray. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Lake Street encroachment. Okay. Lake Street encroachment agreement. We need a mover and seconder that the 169B Lake Street encroachment agreement, Tolman Warren bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, numbered as bylaw 2026-25. Moved by Councillors Stewart and Steinhoff Gray. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. We need a mover and seconder that the appointment bylaw enforcement officers, Municipal Support Services, Inc., 2026 bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, numbered as bylaw 2026-26. Moved by Councillors Hinchberger and Deputy Mayor Clark. All in favor? That's carried. And a motion to pass bylaws. We need a mover and seconder that the following bylaws are hereby read a first, second, third time, finally passed 11th of March 2026. Petition Policy Bylaw 2026-027 and the Managed IT Services Contract Bylaw 2026-028. Moved by Councillors Hinchberger and Kavanaugh. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. And now we're going to have a bio break for 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you.
Because we're going to come back to closed session anyway, so we're not done the meeting. Okay, welcome back to chambers, everyone. We move on to the consent agenda. These are considered routine or enacted in one motion unless the council member has one or more items they'd like to withdraw for consideration either this evening or in a subsequent meeting. Any requests from council members? Okay, so we need a mover and seconder. The council approve the recommendations contained in the consent agenda dated March 11, 2026, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. Councillor Hinchberger and Blackwell, all in favor? That's carried. Council general announcements. Councillor Pranger, please.
No announcements, thank you.
Councillor Blackwell.
Thank you through you. Two thank yous. One, big thank you to all the folks that came out to the human trafficking event that was put on by Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee and the OPP. It was really well attended, pretty eye-opening, and I know there's going to be some great follow-up. Also a thank you to everyone that came out to the Special Olympics polar plunge, including Mayor Craig, who braved those icy waters. They doubled their fundraising goal, which was wonderful. And lastly, if you're like me and get excited about taxes, if you're needing support, you may be eligible to use the community income tax program at the library, which is a fantastic program. Actually, they return about $13 million to the community each year through that program. So it's fantastic. If you haven't had a chance yet to look into it, I highly encourage you to do so.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And just to tell you, there has been a change in our Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. I don't know, we do have a letter, I think Eric from the general manager, and I know that Jennifer will circulate it. Just to give you some highlights, they've gone from 36 down to 9 now. We were part of Thunder Bay at one time. Thunder Bay is now separate, and there's 6 of us that are all collectively coming together. This thing should be doing transition all year and basically finished by March 27th. And as the mayor and I were talking, you won't represent on a municipality level anymore council on the board. It'll have to come from the senior counties and everything. So lots of changes and everything. And I don't have all the answers for you and everything, but it is going to be a change. So the government has approved it. It's been fully approved. So, you know, I know that the board was saying, well, is there any last minute reprieves? No, it's the way it's going to go. Anyways, if you need anything more, the letter will explain it, but things are coming out as we, progress day to day. Any questions?
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
I have no announcements tonight.
Councillor Williams.
No announcements.
Councillor Stanoff Gray.
No announcements.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, there's a couple exciting things happening next week, namely March break. So for all of those wonderful residents with children, I hope you have so much fun with them over the break. The other thing, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. And in a celebration of that, many of our local downtown businesses are having various events and such going on. I know there is a wonderful night planned with some authentic Irish dancing at the Patty Walker House on March 20th. And finally, I wanted to just bring attention to, because we don't have another council meeting until then, March 21st is the World Down Syndrome Day, where we're encouraged to wear unique and different socks. So I brought some extra socks here tonight to show off some of these wonderfully different socks. And I would encourage all my fellow councilors to wear 2 mismatching socks to the next council meeting. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. March 24th is registration for summer camp at the Davidson Center. We're at that time already.
Kim, please.
No announcements for me this evening.
Okay, moving on. I need a mover and seconder that council move into closed session pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended for the purpose of considering closed session minutes dated January 28 and February 11, 2026. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees or potential appointees to a local board, ad hoc committee, or other municipally controlled organization, specifically physician recruitment agreement. Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees or potential appointees to a local board, ad hoc committee, or other municipally controlled organization, specifically a CAO recruitment update. And further, the council return to regular open meeting upon completion. Moved by Councillors Deputy Mayor Clark and Councillor Hinchberger. All in favor? That's carried.